Well, let me just ask all of you to tell us what needs to happen in the workforce and in our American education system to meet these opportunities and challenges. And we might as well just start with Mr. Barlow and go down the line. Are we ready? Are we anywhere near where we need to be?
Thank you, Senator. Well, as I stated earlier, we've got a 1.5 million person gap globally. And, you know, there's a couple of things we need to do. One of the things we've got to recognize is we need more women in this field. You know, the number of women in the cybersecurity space and technology in general is far too low. We also have to look
what is that figure here in the United States?
I don't know, but I could get it to you in our comments. It's very low, sir. Particularly in the technical security ranks, when we look for things like security operations professionals that would sit in an operations center, the number is very, very low. But in addition to that, when we look towards universities, one of the things we really need to do is have universities step up and start producing degrees at scale. You know, the last time we saw an entrant in the C-suite, it was the chief information officer. Well, now we have a chief information security officer. Where are the departments? Where are the degree programs? But I think the last and most important thing is we've also got to look towards what we call at IBM new collar jobs. Ways in which we can bring people in that maybe don't have a traditional 4-year degree in computer science and train them up to work in a security operations watch floor. And we think that that's absolutely possible when we augment those people with technology that can help bring them up to speed quicker and help them learn.
Where are we going to find these people? What level of education do they need to have before we bring them into training for new collar?
Well, I think that one of the things we have to recognize is in the cybersecurity space, we need not only traditional technologists, but we also need people like linguists. So we're going to find them from all over. I think the real question is, do they have the willingness to learn the forensics, learn the technological, and learn the science behind it? What I find that I think is so fascinating is that the kind of mindset that you bring into a security operations center is much more analogous to what you might find in a traditional law enforcement career. You need people with an investigative brain. And I think we can find those people well beyond where we've traditionally looked for IT talent.
Others?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I actually think this is a tremendous opportunity for us. Yes, we have a shortage of cyber skills, but there's an opportunity to create 1 million plus, maybe 2 million jobs in this country that are going to be high-paying, high-skilled, and cannot be outsourced because for various reasons you want people doing cybersecurity to be based here. And I think the opportunity is you don't need to go to college, or you can, but you don't need to. Or you don't need a 4-year degree. A 2-year program, a 1-year vocational program can get people good enough to do a lot of the security operations jobs we're talking about. And I think these can be skilled jobs that are high-paying, resident here. And I think if we put a collective focus on it, this will be both an offensive move in making sure we have the right cybersecurity infrastructure in this country and a move to re-energize our economy and create jobs in America.
Yeah, I would agree with many of the statements made that we do need to look to non-traditional methods to get people into the cyber workforce. One thing that's unique about cybersecurity as a profession is it rapidly changes. So the skills that you need today are not going to be the skills that you need tomorrow. The typical individual in cybersecurity needs to be able to continuously learn and adapt to the ever-changing threat landscape. So unlike a civil engineer who may use the principles of statics and dynamics that will suit them well for their 40-year career, what you know about today will need to be completely retooled. So partnering with our government, looking at things such as potential for a cyber national guard, as well as really focusing on community colleges as well as traditional educational institutions are key things.
I would like to add some perspective to the $1.5 million job gap that we have. If you look at that, and again, from a perspective of somebody who's run this, the reason why we have that gap is because we haven't prevented the problems. Most of those job openings are reactive to detect and respond. I think the bigger skill gap that we have is, again, how do you design and develop technology with less vulnerabilities to begin with? If you did that, we wouldn't have as big of a skill gap. If we had better technology that actually prevented the harm, we wouldn't have as big of a skill gap. Now, I still think we're going to always need the firemen and the responders, and we're going to need the investigators. And I agree with the comments that we need people with a diverse set of backgrounds, but I also think we need to go earlier in the education cycle. We need to start at the grade school and high school level and teach basic skill and acumen, how to do coding and how to do it right. And then further that education when people get into undergraduate and postgraduate work.
Yes, sir, I'll be very quick. We struggled with this problem at the Department of Defense when building Cyber Command and trying to protect all of our networks. So there are two strategies in brief. First, we decided to grow these individuals internally, which meant that we'd put them through high-end training. After a year and a half, they would have pretty high-end skills, the equivalent of a special forces operator in the cyber world. Now, we want them to stay in the military, but if they decide to get out, that's a great pipeline for that highly skilled workforce that benefits the rest of the economy. You see that model very pervasive in a lot of other countries, Israel in particular. Second of all, we've worked very closely with the National Guard to have citizen soldiers that will go in and out of the military, develop skills, but then also take those skills back to the private sector. Building on those two models is something that I think holds promise.
Thank you.
Thank you.